wealth and enjoy myself for the rest of my life. He had a bounteous harvest, and he looked around and saw that his present barn. So he said, I know what I will do. Pull down my present barn, build a bigger one, store all this wealth, and enjoy myself for the rest of my life. He thought within himself, soul, you have enough now for years to come. Relax. And God said, you are a fool, because you are leaving this world tonight. In this story alone, we see many of the things that we've already learned. That our God is generous. When He blesses, He doesn't bless stingingly. We see here a fool, and we've done a lot of definitions about who is a wise man, who is a fool. We see clearly here one of the characteristics of a fool, because there's nothing in everything this man said about saying thank you to God. He was only concerned about himself. We see here again in this story the fact that we don't know when our time will run out. I pray one more time for all of us who are listening to me today, this will not be your last solemn assembly. In the story of this man, we need to learn one or two lessons very quickly. One of the lessons is that God is not against success. God is not against prosperity. God is not against fruitfulness. Don't misunderstand Him. Psalm 1 from verse 1 to 3, Psalm 1 from verse 1 to 3 may declare that if you satisfy certain conditions, everything you touch will prosper. Joshua chapter 1 from verse 1 to 8. Joshua 1 from verse 1 to 8 tells us that if you do certain things, you won't have just ordinary success, but you will have good success. Psalm 35 verse 27, Psalm 35 verse 27 tells us that God has pleasure in the prosperity of His servants. And I'm sure I remember, I think it was yesterday afternoon when we were discussing the various questions of life, that our basic purpose for being created is to give God pleasure. And the Bible says He has pleasure in your prosperity. He wants you to prosper. Believe it or not, God hates poverty. It is clearly stated in His Word, Proverbs chapter 10, verse 15. Proverbs 10, verse 15, that poverty is a destroyer. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. God is not against fruitfulness. He loves fruitfulness. He hates fruitlessness. John chapter 15 from verse 1 to 7. John 15, 1 to 7 tells us that every branch that bears fruit, He purges it so that it can bear more fruit. The branch that is not bearing fruit, He tears it away. It will dry up and it will be thrown into the fire. John 15, verse 1 to 7. In Luke 13 from verse 6 to 9, when He finds a tree that is just cumbering the ground, not producing fruits, He said, cut it down. In the story of the talents, in Matthew chapter 25, from verse 14 to 30, Matthew 25, from verse 14 to 30, if there's anything at all that we learn from that story, is number one, God expects you to multiply. Number two, He doesn't mind you starting small, but He hates you remaining small. The one who got 1 talent did not multiply, and so they took the 1 talent from him. In Luke chapter 12, verse 32, Luke 12, verse 32, God says, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's will to give you the kingdom." And like one of my sons pointed out, what is it that God called little flock? Luke chapter 12, verse 1. Luke 12, verse 1. A crowd so many that they cannot be numbered, and they were practically stepping on one another. He called them little flock. That tells you that He doesn't want you to remain small. And I'm decreeing to somebody here today, in the name that's above every other name, you will become mighty. So the issue with this man who succeeded, who became fruitful in a mighty way, is not the plentifulness of his harvest. The issue is what next after the abundance. You see, because in Proverbs chapter 1 verse 32, Proverbs 1 verse 32, the Bible says, the prosperity of fools will destroy them. You want to prosper? Be wise. Because if you remain a fool and prosperity comes, prosperity of fools will destroy. And may I add one thing very, very quickly, because nowadays there are several people who will want to prosper by any means. If your own idea of prosperity is by stealing, by defrauding, by manipulating records, remember, it is written, as a partridge will lay on eggs and hatch them not, so will anyone who gathers wealth not by right means will die in the noon of their days and at the end be a fool. If you want to prosper and you are going about it illicit way, you will get the money. But God will see to it that you don't spend it. You buy a car with illicit money, you are riding in a moving coffin. I think I've told you that before. The issue is not how successful you are. The issue is the issue of priority.